Hey, welcome back. My name is Joe Polizzi. If you clicked on this, you're probably trying to figure out what are some of the biggest social media mistakes going on right now and maybe whether or not you're doing them. So let's talk through some of these and you can figure out, are there some things that you need to stop? Are there some things that you need to do differently? Let's talk about them. So the first mistake I want to talk about is a big one, probably the biggest one. It's too many platforms. So you see a lot of people out there all over social media. They want to be on Twitter and Facebook and Instagram and LinkedIn and TikTok and everywhere else. And that is just the worst strategy you could possibly employ because you can't be great at all those channels. So what you want to do is you want to find one or two that you can really excel at. So for your business, is that Facebook and Instagram possibly? Is it maybe your business to business and it might be just LinkedIn? Are you targeting teens and maybe TikTok is your platform? So you really want to focus on one platform that you can excel at. Now, if you've dominated one platform, then you can move on to platform two. So if you look at somebody like Joe Rogan, so comedian, podcaster, he does really, really well at Facebook and Twitter, and he doesn't do very well at Instagram and TikTok. He's not even on TikTok. So he's really focused on two platforms. Those are the ones that drive traffic back to his main platform, which is his podcast. So you'll see that working more and more. What are you going to do with that information? You're probably going to kill some of your social media platforms. That's what I would do. So take some of the energy that you're putting towards some of those other platforms and bring it over and be great at first one and then maybe two. I don't think many individuals can be awesome at more than two. Now, if you're a huge conglomerate and you can do 3 and 4 and you've got 50 people on your social media staff, that's a little bit different. But if it's just 1 or 2 people, if you got a small marketing department, just focus on being great at one and maybe use some of those other ones as feedback loops or listening channels just to gather information from your customer base. Second big mistake is you get people that have no real consistent strategy about what they're talking about and who they're talking to and whether even niche enough in their topics. So what you really want to figure out here is, what is your content tilt? Where is that area of information that you're going to communicate that cuts through all the clutter, that separates you from everything else? What's your differentiation point? So you can differentiate in a couple ways. First of all, it's the topics. It's actually on the content itself. So are you covering an area that you could really be the leading expert in the world? So that's one. The second area is, are you targeting a niche enough audience? So for example, let's say you're talking to pet owners. Well, pet owners are way too broad. Really, you want to get it down to, are you targeting pet owners that live in, let's say, Western Florida that like to travel with their dogs? That's a niche audience sector. That's the kind of thing that we want to do. We really want to focus on a group that we can actually be the leading experts in the world about some kind of information. So that's the second one. We really want to focus on what that content tilt is, what that differentiation area is, and not be so broad and just try to target everyone and talk about anything we want to talk about. Third thing is, are you helpful enough? There's so many mistakes around your just content that's just not helpful. And there's two different things that you want to look at. The first thing is, are you actually creating helpful and interesting information? I mean, send your social media stuff out to some friends and family and ask them, is this even interesting? Is it helpful to you? Focus on some key customer groups and send them your information and say, is this stuff that would interest you? Would you subscribe to my following if you got this kind of information? So that's the first part of this. And the second part is, are you integrating other influencers' content into your streams? You need to be doing that. And what I mean by other influencers is, what other bloggers and podcasters and influencers and media companies are trying to communicate with the same audience you are? So whatever that group is, you want to share some of their content on your platforms too, so you can start building a relationship with them so that they begin to know who you are, so that at some point, maybe they'll share your information out to their audiences too. This is a long-term thing, folks. It takes time to do this. So you want to make sure that you have a plan for who those influencers are and then bake them into your feed. So that helpful idea goes two different ways. The fourth thing is, most companies and individuals have no ownership strategy. And I talk about this all the time, but you've got to remember that if you're building a YouTube channel, a Facebook presence, an Instagram presence, a TikTok presence, you got to remember that any of the followers, any of the subscribers that you have on those channels, you don't own them. Those other companies do. So if you build a big following on Facebook and you have a bunch of followers, a bunch of subscribers to your feed, well, they're not your subscribers, they're Facebook. Facebook owns those. That's Facebook's audience and not yours. So you want to create an ownership strategy, which means you have to at some point create some kind of call to action so that they're on your, let's say again, Facebook, and their call to action at some point is going to go to, let's say, a free download or something of value where you can sign up and get their email address. And I know that a lot of people think, well, email is dead, but email today to a media model is still more important than ever. So that means you probably need some kind of an e-newsletter component at the end of the day. So ownership strategy, you want to take them from renting those channels to owning those channels at some point, and you need some kind of email component. And the fifth thing is, wow, no consistency. So how many social media people do you follow that they just send out stuff whenever they want? There's no consistency about it. So whatever you do, whether you have YouTube videos, you have a podcast, you send out Facebook messages to your followers, whatever it is, do it consistently. And I know we think we live in today's day and age where you can just send out wherever you want to. But if you still look at the greatest media companies of all times, whether those are real media companies or brands like Red Bull, they do things consistently in the platforms that they control. So when you create a podcast, you want to send it out at the same day, at the same time, same week, every time you're going to do it. If you do a YouTube video, you want to do the YouTube video every time. Let's say every Friday at 6 p.m. and that's the way you're going to send it out. If you're going to do an Instagram picture, you send that out at 10 o'clock in the morning every day. Whatever that is, you want to build in that kind of consistency. So let's review. So what are those big mistakes? So the first one is you're on too many platforms. You want to definitely pick one, maybe two, but really one that you can be great at. Number two, you have no content tilt. You have no differentiation. So what's going to make you different and stand out? The audience you're going to target, as well as the topic you're going to talk about. Three, are you being helpful enough? Is your content helpful and interesting? And are you integrating influencer content to help out your strategy so that you can build an audience ultimately? Number four, no ownership strategy. Make sure you get a rent to own strategy with some kind of email component. And number five is you're not consistent. Are you delivering consistently? If you do these five things, these are the big challenges, right? But if you can take those and actually do these things in the positive, you can change your stars. You can have an amazing platform. You can become financially free. It's really an unbelievable strategy. Unfortunately, most people make these mistakes. So I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope it was helpful. Give me a thumbs up or a thumbs down. Thumbs up, it was good. Thumbs down if you think you want something better, but I want to get your feedback because I want to create better videos for you, a little bit more helpful. And then remember, I just came out with a free book called Corona Marketing. It'll help you get through if you're looking for marketing tips on how to survive this craziness that we're going through right now. Go to coronamarketingbook.com and you can download it for free. Have a great day. Make a difference.